Hey everybody, this is So Many Sequels. I'm Josh.
I'm Garrett.
And I'm David.
Welcome to our weekly updates here on the show. It's a brand new week. It's horror month. So many scares. This is not a So Many Scares episode per se.
No, but it's that time of year.
It's that time of year, you know.
We got a scary lady right here.
Close, I know.
Oh, she made it to the room.
Yeah. There's the Bride of Frankenstein. I was wondering where she was last week. She got to join the audience this time. But yeah, we are recording this a little bit earlier than we typically do, so the structure might look a little different for y'all, but we're still gonna just kind of spin this episode talking about what we've been watching this week, some news items that have popped up that we're interested in. It'll be fun, and we got another scares movie to look forward to later this week. I almost pulled my AirPods out of I know. Later this week, we've got The Sixth Sense coming up. Very excited for that one. It's a classic. And you know what? It's not going to take us directly in, but what a great way to go into 1999 November, which is what we're going to be kicking off November with. So once we're done with So Many Scares, we got that coming up. Then we'll hit up December for So Many Santas with our Christmas movies. It's going to be fun.
It's exciting times for So Many sequels.
And I
I
believe
know.
Yeah.
You believe what?
Oh, I was just going to say, I believe we're 3 subscribers away from our goal of 316.
Yeah.
We hit that goal before, Devil's Night. We might dress up in costumes for the Halloween episode.
Can you imagine?
How wild. Will that be a trick or a treat? Who knows? Subscribe to find out.
Yeah, subscribe.
You tell us.
On YouTube or in your favorite podcasting app. However you prefer to enjoy the show, I guess is the right way to say that. If you haven't joined us for the month so far, if this is your first time in the show, we've talked about Final Destination, and we've talked about An American Werewolf in London. That was what we did last week. That was a fun one. First time watch for all of us. And it was something else. I'll tell you what. It was something else.
It's memorable.
It's memorable for sure. So go check that one out. Okay. Let's get into what we've been watching this past week. David, you have gotten to watch a lot, which is great because the past few weeks you haven't had a lot of homework.
No.
And you delivered this week.
I've been struggling for months to actually watch a movie, get the time to watch a movie. Well, this week I've watched, I believe, 7 2024 films.
Wow. Padding your stats,
and
if you will.
You add into that I also watched the movie of the week, Sixth Sense, which we can talk about later. Just a brief tease also, because we watched American Werewolf in London, out of curiosity, because I've never watched any real werewolf movies, I watched 1941's The Wolfman.
Yes, with Lon Chaney Jr.
With Lon Chaney Jr.
It's a good one.
Who would also star in several other Wolfman-related things in that time period. And very fun. It was only 70 minutes, so I was like, well, why not? I got the time. So checked that out. And my only knowledge of that movie previously was the clips that are seen in The Sandlot, when they run into the movie theater and they're like sliding in there, they have clips of the Wolfman in that movie. But that was interesting. It was kind of like a Twilight Zone episode. That's what it really felt like. It was like a lot of movies from the 1940s feel like Twilight Zone episodes to me. But yeah, so a lot of these we've talked about during the year. I finally got around to watching The Bike Riders, and I think you guys were right. I think you guys thought I would like that, and I did.
Yeah.
Yes. Cool guys doing cool crimes. Did you find it that?
Cool.
I know it was on the edge.
They're cool guys. They do commit crimes, but I don't feel like they commit any cool crimes.
Just regular old murder.
Yes.
Just
Now,
regular old gang crimes, yeah.
Crimes, murder, vandalism, those aren't cool, Now, thieving, that's cool. You know what else is cool? Cleaning, like they do in Wolves, starring George Clooney and Brad Pitt. Now, Garrett, you got to watch Wolves as well. We can talk about that a little bit, if you like.
Sure.
But yeah, so this is a new film, George Clooney, Brad Pitt, doing a movie where they just get to be George Clooney and Brad Pitt and hang out. And you know what? I say George has got his own production company. Brad's got his own production company. If they just want to make movies for streamers like Amazon and Apple and Netflix, more power to them. Because this movie ain't getting in theaters anytime soon. I can tell you that. It was fun. It was a totally cool, I'm off the week of work kind of watch.
You want to know what? I actually think that this movie could do well in theaters because it is a different kind of Clooney and Pitt. Everybody likes a Clooney and Pitt chemistry. It's not necessarily as good as, the Ocean's movies. There's not as many other cast members with them. But it wasn't fun. It was enjoyable. And I think that people want that. I don't think there are enough just fun, enjoyable, good movies out there. A lot of them are just, I would also say fun, enjoyable, and stupid. There's not any that are fun, enjoyable, and good. And I think this one hits all three notes. I was really entertained all the way through. There was, if I sit down and think about some of the plot, I would have some questions. But it's just meant to be a fun, entertaining movie, and it did that.
And it does seem clear that they want to make a sequel to this. I think.
It could be.
So it'd be interesting to see if we do. Josh, have you seen Wolves on Apple yet?
No.
Well, I'm going to give it a recommend.
Yeah, you think?
Garrett, you give it a recommend?
I would.
Another one that Garrett, I know you also watched. So if you want to, we can talk about it a little bit here. Josh, have you watched Rebel Ridge?
I have not watched that either.
Oh.
So Rebel Ridge, starring Aaron Pierre and Don Johnson, and the guy who played Ryan on The Office.
No, Roy.
Ryan, Roy on The Office. Pam's boyfriend at the beginning of the series. He's also in that.
Yep.
This was kind of I don't know what to call it, kind of like a revenge act thriller. It felt very much like if this movie came out in 2002, it would star The Rock and it'd be called the Rundown or something like that. It was a very cool little thriller, very, it had good tense moments. I thought it was a little overlong, Garrett, but what did you think?
I agree. It felt a little long. What was it, 2:15? It was over 2 hours, I think.
Yeah, a little over 2 hours.
So it was long. But I didn't ever lose interest. I was really intrigued by the performances. I mean, I think Don Johnson, definitely underrated as an actor. He's so entertaining, whether he's a good guy or whether he's a bad guy. He's just kind of smarmy, but in a charming way. And he pulls it off so well. He's just really a charismatic figure on the screen. And he did a great job.
Yeah, I think he's gotten better with age.
Yeah. And then Aaron Pierre, I'm unfamiliar with most of his work, but he was incredible in this. And yeah, the action was really good. Was a little long, but I think that they did a really good job. Netflix movies tend to be long, especially on their action size, but they also tend to release just trash. And so it's nice when they do a good job with it.
And then I caught up on a few other ones. I watched Quiet Place Day One. Have you guys gotten to see Quiet Place Day One?
I have not. No.
Nope.
I was going to watch that, but I ran out of time today.
I don't know how you guys would feel about it, but I got to say, I have yet to be disappointed with one of these Quiet Place movies. It is there's part of me that laments the idea of it being over sequelized, but man, if they're all going to be solid movies, okay, I'll watch A Quiet Place Day 2 or wherever, give me a different. So, the first two we watched, they're kind of set in a more rural area. This one's set in New York. Give me a Quiet Place in Atlanta or something. I don't know. Give me a different setting. Whatever. Give me A Quiet Place, but it starts at a Taylor Swift concert. So yeah, I recommend that one as well. I'll save the worst for last. I checked out I Saw the TV Glow, which you guys both gave high marks earlier this year. And you guys were right. It was not very scary.
No,
I think it was
it's not scary.
misleading when it was sort of pitched as a horror psychological thriller thing. Unpopular opinion, I found it kind of dull, but I can understand based on just kind of some of the themes that I was picking up that a lot of people would view that in a very special way or see very special representation within that. And so it's going to be a very good coming of age movie for some people. For me, I don't know, probably just wrong age, wrong demo, I guess. I don't know. It just, for me, I couldn't quite ever get really invested in it.
I do think we warned you though.
Yeah, I think we probably did.
I think
that's valid.
And by the time it picked up, but I always want to prove you guys wrong.
Not everything's for everyone.
It isn't. And so by the end, it really started to pick up, I thought. Within the last 7 to 10 minutes, I was like, oh, wow, this is really starting to pick up. And then it was over.
It's a thing.
Finally, I watched, I think what is definitively now my worst movie of 2024, and that's Madam Web. I don't give out a lot of 1-star reviews, but that's where this landed. I usually save 1.5 for movies that are bad but unintentionally funny. This couldn't even reach that level of unintentionally funny. There was one line that did make me laugh. And that was because it was delivered so solemnly, and it's such a stupidly written line. She just goes, "Hope the spiders were worth it, Mom." And I was like, golly, this is just
yikes.
Yeah, it was not. So I recommend watching it, but it was terrible. Just so I can share this experience with other people.
Oh, yeah. You just want us
that's on you.
Don't leave me alone. Misery enjoys company.
So how
anyway,
is is this? acting any good at least? I mean, it's got names attached. Dakota Johnson,
No,
Sydney Sweeney, Emma Roberts. Any of them were good?
no.
Oh, okay.
I mean, I'll just
Adam
tell you
Scott?
right now. The Adam Scott is Adam Scott, so he's very
Okay.
nice. But I mean, like nobody has anything of value to say in this movie.
Mm.
Like, you could line this cast up with the greatest actors of all time, and they could not make this into chicken salad. Like, sometimes characters are talking just to talk. Like, there were so many times where I just went, "Oh, shut up!" There are some movies there's not enough dialogue. This movie has
Yeah.
too much dialogue for how little everyone says.
You know it's bad when you gotta tell a movie to shut up.
It was so, yeah. So I don't know. Like the one, I wrote my review on Letterboxd, and I got a like, and I went and saw what that person said, and they just wrote, "This was not Sydney Sweeney's fault" several times. So I was like, opinions on Sydney Sweeney aside, yeah, I don't think anybody could have saved this movie.
Dang.
And it baffles me that there's a large contingency of Hollywood that looks at a movie like Madam Web and cannot tell the difference between that and something like The Avengers or something like Deadpool and Wolverine.
No,
Like,
and
to
it-
them, it's the
well-
same movie.
Yeah, it's because they just look at the spreadsheet. They don't look at anything else.
They think, oh, it's a Marvel movie, quote unquote. Comic books, big built-in fan base, guaranteed
Yeah.
money.
The data
know,
points say it should be a success.
I can take the, it's like there's a lot of actors like, oh, I needed the paycheck, so I took this movie that I didn't have any faith in, so I just didn't. I was like, well, you know what? It's not gonna be. I don't know. Anyway,
Wow.
that's my week off watch list. So I'll let you guys.
Dang.
Garrett, I want to hear
That
what
was
you
a-
saw.
Yeah, what did you watch, Garrett? That was a huge rundown.
We talked about 2 of the 3 that I watched. So the other one that I had
Perfect.
on my list was a new one, a Hulu original called Hold Your Breath. Have you guys heard of this?
I've heard
I
of
think
it.
I saw this on Hulu.
It is on Hulu.
No, I didn't watch this, but I saw the title.
Really, the only name that I know is, there's 2 names. There's Sarah Paulson, obviously, who is a massive star. And then Ebon Moss. I don't know how to say his last name, but he's from The Bear, and he is also very good. It takes place in 1930s Oklahoma during the Dust Bowl. And so that was what
How
got
about
me
that?
interested, because my biggest takeaway from watching this movie is that the Dust Bowl is something that needs to be represented more in film, because it is so specific to our region that I don't think people know what it is outside of the general area. And it is terrifying in and of itself. Like, the Dust Bowl as a thing is just scary. And so this movie does a good job. It is a horror movie, and it does a good job of setting the tone and the atmosphere of the Dust Bowl, because it's just, it's like being in the sandstorm in like a Mission Impossible movie whenever he's trying to outrun the sands. And so they do a good job of that. The scares, the overall tenseness is but it was really an intriguing, mostly because of Sarah Paulson.
I was going to say the Dust Bowl, when you think about it, it was kind of the COVID pandemic of its day.
Yeah.
Just completely upset the local economy, completely upset the way of life for this region of the country, for Oklahoma and parts of Arkansas and Kansas, maybe parts of Texas as well. I'm not really sure. But yeah, it was really localized to this area. So like, yeah, I don't know if, outside of maybe hearing the name, the Dust Bowl, people don't really. Yeah, I think you're right. I think there could be more movies, Dust Bowl era.
Yeah. I mean, that is a natural disaster movie of the 30s. I mean, you said it in the time period piece. These people have I ain't never seen this stuff before. What is that? That's scary right there. And so I think that is a way that it could have gone. They wrapped in some supernatural stuff in this. And again, it was very interesting, and it was pretty good. But
Dust ghosts?
not exactly, but kind of.
Ghost
I've
bowls?
always been kind of surprised that there's not a stadium in Oklahoma named the Dust Bowl.
There's a bowling alley.
Oh,
There's a bowling alley.
What is it? There is a bowling alley.
we should host a college football bowl called the Dust Bowl.
Yeah, exactly.
It should be in the Panhandle, and everyone should have to take that miserable drive.
to the middle of
It
nowhere.
has to be worth it. Yes.
Imagine
it's
the
played
boom
at
for that
Black Mesa.
for the Panhandle economy.
Oh my gosh.
But I would recommend it.
five-
I think
yeah.
that you guys
Matt
would find
Pinnell
it
at
relatively
Phyllis.
enjoyable, and I think most people would find it fun, especially during spooky season. It's new. I think that, again, Sarah Paulson is screaming, so like she wins right there.
She's great. Yeah.
Naughty Pine.
And I'm always
wait, that's the
intrigued
other
by
lady.
something set, where we live or where we're from at least.
They mentioned
Mhm.
Guyman, Oklahoma. I was like, hey,
Yeah,
I
I've
know
heard of
Guyman.
Guyman.
I know Guyman.
Guyman.
So-
Yeah, she was the bartender on
Guyman.
the Enterprise.
Oh, Guinan. Played by
Oh, right.
Whoopi Goldberg.
Oh yes, that's right.
Anyway,
Josh, what about you? You been watching any scaries?
I did. I did manage to fit in a scary movie this week that was new to me. But it's older. Well, do you guys also think 2014 and go, that was just like, that's not that long ago, and then it was a decade?
Mm-hmm.
I think
I still think of it. Yeah.
I
I
think
think decade is like, oh, that's an old movie.
yeah, I think anything pre 2020 is old. Actually, I don't.
Right?
Everything pre 2020 at this point in time is just old.
Yeah, there's a little bit of that. 2014
true.
also, like that was like the time frame in which we were all graduating from college.
That's true.
So it's forever ago.
Yeah. Once Earth 2.0 or whatever, whatever one we're on restarted in 2020.
We're definitely on the dark
Um,
timeline.
Yeah, the worst one. I watched a movie called Unfriended anyway that came out back then in 2014, and it was pretty interesting. It was fun. It wasn't like, groundbreaking or anything, but what I liked about it is if you guys have seen some of the more recent, I don't know what you call this subgenre of horror really, but like searching and missing, these movies where it's like taking place on a computer screen.
Yeah, it's like a screen.
Yeah,
Front-facing
it's
horror.
Supernatural screen.
somebody Google
film.
it. There's got to be
Screen
a name
horror.
for it.
Oh, here we go. Okay,
but
Unfriended.
it takes place on
Oh.
a 2014 MacBook, basically, and it is set in one night, and it involves 6 friends on a Skype call get a phone call who basically get interrupted by another friend who is dead
Oh,
and who's been dead.
can I?
Yeah,
ahead.
what? No,
No,
that was
so
it.
go
That's the
ahead.
premise.
Okay, let me ask you on
Yeah.
this. So this is the original title for the film, but I think is actually the perfect name for this subgenre it created. The original title was Cybernatural.
Ooh, a cybernatural thriller. I like
Yeah.
that.
Now, the way that Wikipedia describes it as a screen life supernatural horror film, but I think Cybernatural, that's got cachet.
Yeah,
That's
I
going
do
places.
think probably not the right title for the movie.
No,
Mark.
bad name for a film. Good name for a genre.
Unfriended was
For
smart.
a soundtrack.
Because I looked and
but
they
it-
tried to boo like a found footage thing, and I was like, it's not right. Not the same thing.
Yeah, it's
really
not
the same
found
thing.
footage for sure. So what's really fun about it is seeing, like, I was like, oh, this is weirdly nostalgic to like see what a computer looked like in 2014. You don't remember, and then it's
No.
like, whoa, I forgot that Facebook looked like that. I forgot
Yeah.
that that's what Chrome looked like. I was like, that's Chrome. What is this? Oh,
It all looks so weird.
it all looks so weird. The
Change
Skype
is so
call,
incremental on the
it's
internet.
like this movie would absolutely be Zoom today. I don't know anyone that uses Skype anymore.
Mhm. We wrote a play over Skype.
We did. The best part about it for me, that you guys will enjoy, is one of the friends popped up, and it was the brother from Breakup Season, Jacob Wysocki.
Hey!
Whoa, that's
so that was
cool.
fun. That was a fun surprise to see him pop up in this movie. It was on Netflix. If you haven't seen it, so
Nice.
Unfriended, spooky.
All right. There was actually a sequel to Unfriended in 2018, Unfriended Dark Web.
Oh, I don't think I knew that about that.
Throwing that out there.
Interesting.
Should have been called
Okay.
Blocked. You were unfriended and now you're blocked.
That's more accurate nowadays.
Yeah, Unfriended 2 doesn't make sense. All right, let's get into some news of the week then. We've caught up on what we've been watching. This made it into our exclusive show host group chat. That word on the street is that Matt Damon is in talks to join Christopher Nolan's new project at Universal, coming out hopefully around July 2026. We don't know really anything about it other
That's
than
all.
that.
Mm-hmm.
Standard Film Boy podcast, Chris Nolan reaction, go.
I'm more excited
Oh,
about
man.
Matt Damon, to be honest with you. You know,
Matt Damon.
I think that Matt Damon has such an interesting career where it's like the most roller coastery kind of a thing. Cause like sometimes Matt Damon is the biggest star in the world. And then sometimes you forget that Matt Damon is still alive and acting thoroughly. Because
Mhm.
like he just kind of vanishes. And I always like when Matt
He-
Damon
yeah.
comes back strong and is not on the downward side of his career. And I think he's starting to move upward. And so I like an upward trending Matt Damon. I think that Nolan can do, hell, I think he can do good, obviously. I don't love Nolan as much as everybody else does. I think that he is wonderful and great, but like, yeah, he still has to win me over. Sometimes he's a little too smart, and then so we'll see how it goes. But the pairing's cool.
Yeah, I'm curious if Matt Damon is the lead in this. It's
Wouldn't it
the
be
end of
funny if
Matt
he's
Damon's
just like a
working
small
career.
role then? I didn't even think about that.
He might be.
Another vehicle for Cillian Murphy.
It might
just
be.
don't
You
know
know,
yet.
the rumor is, and I don't know if this is actually true. I think they asked Chris about it. And he denied to admit to it. But the rumor is that once you star as the lead in a Nolan film, you are no longer in Nolan movies. And this has been somewhat true in the past. He's not recast Matthew McConaughey or Hugh Jackman in any movies. He only recast Christian Bale because they were already working on that Batman franchise. And he hasn't had Christian Bale in a movie since The Dark Knight Rises. So this could mean that we don't see Cillian anymore, and if Matt's the lead, maybe no more Matt. But Matt has been in Oppenheimer and in Interstellar.
What about Michael Caine though?
Now, Mike Caine's never been the lead.
Oh, the
once you're the
lead.
lead
Okay,
in
I
the, in the
see,
once
I
you're in the lead
see.
role, then he
You know what though?
he does
If
reuse a
Michael
lot of characters.
Caine is in every Nolan movie or most of them, doesn't that make him the lead?
He's the thread line. He's the Stan Lee
Right.
of the Nolan
That's
version.
right.
But I mean, he hasn't worked with Leo since, has he?
No.
Since Inception.
I made a prediction that Michael Caine secretly, I don't know if he actually has retired or not, but whatever the last movie he did with Nolan was, I have a prediction that that was the last one that we see him in. I don't remember why, but I have a theory.
I think it was Tenet. Yeah. I think he's retired. He said I watched an actors roundtable interview, those things they do every year. And somebody was talking about how there's a certain director who, whenever they call, he's like, hey, I've got a role for you. All right, well, let's go do our thing. And Caine said, yeah, I had that with Christopher Nolan. He would just call me up and say, I've got my next movie. It starts filming this time. You know, he'd go, great, I'll see you then. Like, he didn't even have to tell me the roles. I would just, he would send me the script whenever it was ready. And, but I think Caine is officially retired. I have no idea what this one could be. What do you do next? I mean, I think they've said maybe he's going to go back to the sci-fi world, but
that's the thing. You never know with him. He's got a pretty decent range of genre, at least. Could be historical fiction, could be, sci-fi, could be something completely different. Who knows? What if he goes rom-com?
Oh, there you go. He hasn't done that.
Any kind of comedy would be interesting.
Yeah, do a rom-com. Do a full-on horror movie. Do a Christopher Nolan horror movie.
That'd be fun.
Yes, I agree with that.
Do whatever the Christopher Nolan version of Fast and the Furious is.
Right. In other news, this piece of news made it into our Discord, which you can find by joining our Patreon at patreon.com/so-many-sequels, or just search for it there. We're getting a new geriatric sequel. We're getting Princess Diaries 3, you guys. Still a princess. Still
making diaries.
Still writing diaries. Anne Hathaway has confirmed she'll be back. She said miracles happen to describe her excitement. You guys got reactions to this?
None. I've never seen the other two.
None.
Really? Oh, that's fascinating. I saw the first one.
Princess Diaries month.
Yes.
Young Garrett again did not like horror movies or like
Innocence.
This is not necessary. I don't know if this is a rom-com, but I probably would have in my younger days identified this as a chick flick, and that also was something younger Garrett wouldn't have seen. So this version of Garrett, happy to watch it.
It's certainly a young boy's chick flick.
We can do Anne Hathaway, and we can watch the Princess Diaries and other Anne Hathaway films.
I kind of like it.
So I remember watching the Princess Diaries, the first one, when I was a kid. I did not see the Princess Diaries 2 until Nikki made me a few months back. Hopeful that they could get Chris Pine back. He was in the second one, but he was surprised by it on the Today Show like a day or two ago, and he was like, "I know nothing. I don't know anything." So I don't know. Yeah, I mean, we're in that time period where people are, for whatever reason, seem to be really more interested these days in revisiting things than they were when we were kids. Like, when we were kids, if an actor went back to doing something they did 20, 30 years ago, it was like their career was over. And nowadays, it's like, no, let's reanalyze this character 20 years later.
That's because only familiar franchises and sequels make money.
That's true. And you know what? Maybe this will make money. I don't know. And if it does, it'll fund whatever. I'm sure Anne Hathaway has her own production company too. It'll fund whatever little I say little, makes it sound rude, but whatever projects that she really wants to have made, this might fund a little bit of that.
True.
To get that Disney money.
Get that Disney money.
Go make whatever movie that she's actually really passionate about.
Exactly. All right. I think that's it for us this week, honestly.
Yeah, I think we're good to wrap it up.
I think we're good. Yeah, like I told you guys at the top of the show, we're recording this a little earlier than usual, so we don't have our usual box office report. We will have that for you guys next week. as usual, though. So be sure you subscribe to the show on YouTube or through your favorite podcasting app, whichever way you prefer. Be sure to follow us on Instagram at So Many Sequels Pod. We're going to be posting, or we've already started actually posting about our fan vote for the end of So Many Scares. We want you guys to send us what is on your Halloween watch lists. What do you guys watch to get in the spirit, or whatever you want to do, whether you want to be scared or, I don't know, maybe it's the Great Pumpkin. We haven't talked about
Yes.
that before.
Ooh, great
But you
pumpkin
could throw
Charlie
it in
Brown.
there. That's all I'm saying.
I'd vote for
So
that.
Go check out our Instagram at So Many Sequels Pod. We're going to keep putting those out throughout the month, and you guys can just respond to it, fill in the question box, whatever's easiest. We want to know what you're watching in October.